specifically your kind of key point and then the role that you achieved in the process. This is the kid I want.
A little more clarity.
Tell about, exactly. Tell about your love for tap, your auditioning, and then how you got Michael and Tallboy on Broadway. There, I just told them.
Well, when I was 4 years old, I started dancing, and then I started competing when I was 6. And I had my first Billy Elliot audition when I was 9, and that was about in January of whenever, I have no idea when. Yeah, 07 or something like that. And then I auditioned for about 4 years until I got the role of Tallboy and Michael, or Tallboy understudying Michael on Broadway. And I did that for 9 months, starting in November of 2009. And while I was doing that, like Doug said, I was part of the Billy Camp, which is like where boys come and they train in New York with the Billy Elliot, the staff, and they basically they learn what they're going to have to do, and they learn like the technique that they're going to need for the show. And I got to do that for those 9 months while I was there, while I was doing auditions and stuff like that for Billy. And then 9 months after I started, I got the role of Billy, and I'm here now, and I've been doing it since.
So what's really interesting about this whole journey, yeah, he definitely, all these boys deserve great applause for everything they've done. But the journey with these boys is, Nadine, wave in the back. Nadine is in the back, and she's our dance person that's with us this week. She actually helps Nora Brennan, who is our casting director, who travel around the country. And she can remember and tell stories of people that they saw when they were wee little ones and just kept saying, practice more and come back, practice more and come back, practice more and come back. And Nora has in her mind all these boys that she has seen for years and years and has just kept watching them and encouraging them. And it's really this encouragement that then they get to places where they can come to New York and do extra training when they're really at that level of getting that spark to take that next step. And so Kylan getting the role of Tallboy and Michael on Broadway and then taking him to the next place in the journey. Absolutely, again, fantastic stories that all these boys have. Moving on to Lex. Lex is the one that didn't really even know Billy Elliot was a movie, let alone a musical. This boy comes from, he's another Californian, but for some of you it may say it's a different part of California because it's Irvine, California, down below.
Behind it.
Yeah, exactly. And because of that, he's got a little different thing that he does in the show. So I'll let him explain his experience and what you love doing as a dancer, and then how that brought you to Billy Elliot.
In Irvine, California, I'm in this dance crew called Creative Movement. It's a hip hop dance group, and from the start, I've been a hip hop lover, and I've been training with them for years and years, and they inspired me so much. And when in the show, since I have a really specialty of hip hop, in the dance Electricity, my style is hip hop. Since Electricity most of the boys have balletic electricities, I have a background of hip hop, so my choreography is a lot more different, and I've got more acro and a lot of isolations in it.
This one song called Electricity, which is actually the key point in the show where Billy is asked, and you're going to hear the song in a few minutes there. Unfortunately, there's not enough room here for them to do any dancing with that. But it's the point in the show where they say, Billy, how does it feel when you're dancing? And this is the opportunity that all of our choreographers take to make these boys show off their strengths. It is an individually choreographed song for each one of the boys. So every night when you see the show, whoever you see in the show, everyone's electricity is a bit different.
Wow.
Lex's, though, is actually a different orchestration. So the song actually sounds completely different for Lex's because of his hip-hopness to it. I don't know the terms, pop and lockingness of some of the things that he does. During the show. So that's Lex. So now, and now to Ethan, our newest Billy. Ethan, why don't you tell me about your history, and then specifically, you joined this team about a month ago, right? about a month ago?
About, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
more-
going into the show.
Yeah, going into the
really
show,
close.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, and tell them what your experience has been like joining this group, and then what it took to get you to this place.
Okay. I mean, I started dancing when I was 7 in Florida with a team called New Dimensions Dance Company, and I was dancing there for a while just as like a competition dancer. And then I was in New York for a summer intensive called Complexions Contemporary Ballet. They had a summer intensive, and one of the teachers knew a dance captain on Broadway for Billy Elliot, and they asked me to audition, so I auditioned. And this was last summer, and I auditioned for that, and there wasn't a spot open right then, but I continued to train in tap and acro, which I'd never done before. So I trained in those until January when they called me, and then I came and trained in New York for 6 weeks, and then doing choreography, learning all the choreography for 6 weeks, and then I came here and joined them in Seattle, which was about, I can't remember how many months ago, but that was a while ago. March, okay. I joined them in Seattle, and I've been in choreography with them, touring with them ever since, and it's been a really hard experience. I mean, it's been hard and fun, and I mean, I've had a good time with all the kids. Had fun with them, and choreography rehearsals have been really hard, and but I had my first show last Friday, or the Friday before last Friday, 2 weeks ago, and now I'm in the rotation.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome, thanks. And Ethan had a great, kind of unique opportunity for us. We announced Ethan while we were playing the show in Tampa, and he's from actually the other side of Tampa, but he trains in Tampa, and he got a chance to actually come over and see the boys and meet everyone right when we announced him to the media in Tampa, which was awesome for us. Now this one, kind of the ringleader of the group, I would say. His history goes back, well, I'll let you tell where you started, where you've been, and yeah.
Well, I started out as a dancer, and I've been dancing pretty much as long as I can remember. And I first saw the movie back in 2005, and not long after that, at the end of 2006, there was they called out for a cattle call audition for the musical Billy Elliot, which was coming to Sydney. So I went to an audition for that. It was open casting. There were 3,000 boys at that point, and across the course of nearly 3 years, I continued auditioning. You know, they, as Doug said, continue, come back, train more, show us what you've got next time, that kind of thing. And well, nearly 3 years later, I got the part in the Melbourne production at the beginning of 2009, and I performed there until it closed, which was towards the end of 2009. And after that, I had a little break where I went home and got back into normal life before I was called back to train for the tour. And, you know, I've been doing it since then.
One of the things that he says, and he's actually, if you go on Billy Elliot Broadway or BillyElliottTour.com or BillyElliottTheMusical.com, there's a blog, and he has written one of the entries for us for Life on the Road. And one of the things he said is, Melbourne closed before I really had a chance to shine in the role, and through this twist of fate and the luck that had it in his continuous training, he was able to come back and do this with us. And it's very funny because the associate director of the show remembered him and wanted him to come back, but remembered him as someone that was like this tall. Then he came back and was like, oh, look, you've grown. It's fantastic in the role as well. So what we're going to give you is a bit of a sneak peek. Again, unfortunately, with the way the floor is and things like that, we're not able to do any dancing, but one of the songs that they sing, as I mentioned, is called Electricity. And that is really the turning point toward the end of the show where we learn that Billy has not really been accepted throughout his entire journey. And there's one person in the role that accepts him for who he is. It's his best friend, Michael. And Michael, you know, tells him, you have to express yourself, do what you want to do, and be who you want to be. And he uses that energy for Michael to kind of push through and persevere and convince himself, his family, and everyone else that it's okay for him to do what he does and to do this audition at the Royal Ballet School, which is where this all culminates at the end of the show. So without further ado, let's get these microphones back up.